Okay, so let's talk about something well, it's just incredibly frustrating. Have you ever poured everything into developing your team, helping them grow, only to watch your absolute best people leave? It's a painful and confusing problem. We're going to follow one manager's journey through this exact thing, and what they learned tells us a ton about the invisible rules that really run our workplaces.
Our story starts right here with this simple, completely defeated statement from a manager. They'd been coaching, mentoring, investing so much time and energy, and it felt like it was all just falling apart. Something was seriously wrong.
And here's the real kicker. The manager's coaching was working. In fact, it was working too well. People were getting better, smarter, more autonomous. But that success, that growth, was the very thing pushing them out the door. The better the manager made them, the faster they resigned.
So what is going on here? This is the central mystery we're going to unpack. It feels completely backward, doesn't it? You're doing all the right things, you're being a great leader, and you're getting the worst possible result. Let's figure out why.
Well, the first big clue came from an exit interview. One of the people who was leaving said something that was just brutally honest, and it changed everything.
Wow. Just let that sink in for a second. This isn't about more money or a better title. This is about a fundamental mismatch of identity. This person had literally outgrown the company's culture. The manager had taught them to be a critical thinker and innovator, but the organization itself only wanted obedience. And you know what? There's actually a name for this. It's called the culture paradox. It's that awful clash that happens when your efforts to build amazing independent people run headfirst into a corporate culture that secretly prefers them to be quiet and compliant. The manager suddenly realized, I'm not just losing employees, I'm fighting the entire system. So to really understand this paradox, the manager had to become a bit of a detective. They had to look past the official mission statement on the wall and find the unwritten rules, the hidden code that was really running the show. Turns out, every single company has one of these. It's the real way things get done around here. This script isn't written down in any handbook. It's built from legends, from past crises, from how founders acted, and it tells everybody what it really takes to get ahead, no matter what the posters in the break room say.
And this was the question for our manager. They had to stop focusing on the individuals who were leaving and start decoding the cultural DNA of the place they worked. What were the real rules of this game?
And when the manager actually wrote the script down, the problem just became crystal clear. I mean, look at these rules. Don't make waves. Safety is in conformity. That is the exact opposite of what good coaching is all about. Good coaching encourages people to think for themselves, to challenge things, to innovate. These two things are on a collision course. And that just lays it all bare, doesn't it? The manager thought they were building better employees for the company, but in reality, they were turning them into cultural rebels. They were training them to break the most sacred, unspoken laws of the organization. No wonder they were leaving.
So, okay, now the manager gets it. But what do you do with that kind of insight? It's pretty depressing, right? They realized they couldn't just keep doing what they were doing. They were at a major crossroads and had to make a choice. And the thing is, there was no easy fix, no simple answer. It basically boiled down to three very different, very difficult paths. You could try to change the whole system, which is a huge, dangerous fight. You could try to shield your own team from it, or you could just leave and save yourself. So let's look at those first two. Being a script breaker is the heroic path, right? You challenge the system head on, but the risk is massive. The system usually fights back, and it often wins. Then there's the microculture creator. This one is more pragmatic. You basically build a little bubble, an island of sanity for your team. But it means you have to teach them how to act one way inside the team and another way, to code switch when they deal with the rest of the company. At first, the manager thought, creating a microculture. That feels so cynical, so inauthentic. But the coach offered a really smart reframe. It's not cynical, it's pragmatic. It's about being wise. It's teaching your team to read the room and be strategic about where they put their energy. The manager wasn't ready to leave. They cared too much. And trying to break the whole system felt like a fool's errand. So they chose a new path. Not to fight the system, but to navigate it a whole lot smarter. And this was the huge mental shift. The manager realized their coaching was only doing half the job. They were developing amazing players, sure, but they were completely failing to teach them the complicated, unwritten, and often illogical rules of the game they were all forced to play.
So the coaching changed. It became about making the invisible visible. They started talking about the company's script openly in team meetings. So now, when a great idea got shot down for no good reason, they could talk about it not as you failed, but as we just threatened the system. This was so empowering. It helped the team make smart, strategic choices instead of just feeling beaten down.
And that's really the whole point, isn't it? This new approach takes away that feeling of personal failure and replaces it with systemic awareness. It gives people the tools to survive and even thrive in their environment without taking all of its dysfunction personally.
But this realization, this new strategy, it wasn't really an endpoint. It was the beginning of something much bigger. It completely transformed how the manager saw their role as a leader.
And of course, the first reaction was just feeling overwhelmed. Like, whoa, I just wanted to be a good coach to my people, and now I'm dealing with organizational psychology and systems theory. It was a lot. But the coach's response here is so powerful. This new, complicated awareness isn't a burden. It's a superpower. Most people are just sleepwalking through the system. This manager was now awake. They could see the matrix. And that changes absolutely everything. And that's when it all finally clicked for the manager. This wasn't a problem to be solved. This was the beginning of a lifelong practice of leading with awareness, of understanding that this kind of work is never, ever finished. Which brings it all back to us. Because knowing the theory is one thing, but actually putting it into practice in the middle of a stressful Tuesday, in meeting after meeting, that's the real work. So the final question isn't just for the manager in our story. It's for all of us. In our own jobs, in our own teams. How do we live this and not just know it?